I just want to speak the name of Jesus.
Before I leave the story of the Good Samaritan, I want to just say a few things about two of the minor characters in the story. Now, this is a little fanciful, but just bear with me. Firstly, there's the innkeeper. Now, that was not a holiday inn. It was probably situated in this deep gorge, which is the traditional journey from Jericho to Jerusalem. They've built a monastery there to commemorate the Good Samaritan. Now, that innkeeper didn't go looking for charity, he didn't go looking for good works to do. They actually just arrived at his door, as they often do for us. And actually it wasn't charity, he was paid for it. It was his job. But he did his job extremely well. And sometimes I think that's all God asks of us, to do the work that is in front of us faithfully and as well as we can. And then there's the donkey. I love donkeys. I don't think there's any more mournful sight or sound than a donkey braying. It's not for nothing that A. A. Milne chose a donkey to be his Eeyore, who carried the world on his shoulders. But he also spoke some remarkable words of wisdom. So I love donkeys. So does God. Donkeys are mentioned hundreds of times in the Bible, and not once with a criticism. In 4 or 5 of the stories, the donkey plays a quite significant role. There was, of course, the case where Balaam was going off to curse the people of Israel, and an angel stood in the ravine in front of him, threatening to cut him down. And the donkey saw the angel, but Balaam didn't. Who's the ass now? And then the story of the young Saul, who went off looking for his donkeys that were lost. Donkeys don't easily get lost. But in his travels, Saul came across a man called Samuel, who anointed him with oil to be king over Israel. And that event changed the history of Israel, if not the history of the world. All because some donkeys went astray. And Samuel said to him, "Don't worry about the donkeys. They found their way home. They're not so stupid after all." And then there's the donkey in the Good Samaritan. Now just think of it. There he is, struggling his way down that precipitous ravine full of rocks and stones, with a heavy burden on his back. And then his master puts a heavier burden on his back, a fully grown man, and he has to struggle his way to the inn. But he doesn't complain. Why? A few times when I've had a Bible study group on this passage, I've suggested that they all close their eyes and do what we call an imaginative meditation, where you go right through the story in your mind, imagining yourself to be one of the participants in the story, and I gave them a list. It was quite surprising how many people chose to be the donkey. Interestingly, quite a number of young mothers. They felt their lives were just one long plod to try and keep up with everything, and not very many choices in their lives. And I put to one of these groups, why did the donkey not complain? And an old man, nearly 90, because he'd done the meditation of the donkey, said, "Because I loved my master." And then, of course, there was the donkey that carried Jesus into Jerusalem. Just think of it. He'd never had a load on his back before, and suddenly they put this full-grown man on his back. I wonder if he flinched. I wonder if he thought, is this what the rest of my life is going to be like? But he went ahead, and he made his way down another precipitous path past the Garden of Gethsemane to carry Jesus into Jerusalem. Now, donkeys aren't stupid. He wasn't stupid enough to think that all the cheering and the waving was for him. But he also had his hour, a far fierce hour and sweet. There was a shout about his ears and palms before his feet. We actually even know the name of that donkey. Its name was Christopher, which in Greek means Christ-bearer. He carried Christ. And to honor him for doing that, Jesus put the sign of a cross on his back, which donkeys have borne ever since. So that whenever people see the donkey, they remember that donkey's humility and obedience.
Unending love, Amazing grace.